restless when you're fun, cause you're desperate. Oh, here they come for a chance, for adventure. What's your poison? What's your pleasure? Oh, my city, she never sleeps. My city, she never weeps. My city, she keeps me alive. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, oh. Give it up for my city, oh, 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 oh. Give it
Hello, welcome to Glee Network. We are going to talk about what happened tonight on Smackdown.
there was quite a bit, I guess, that happened. The second hour of the show was taken up by the Gauntlet match, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So there wasn't tons of, like, a bunch of different storylines happening in the end, just the one leading up for Elimination Chamber. But the beginning of the show did have quite a bit going on in it. At least the first hour.
Yeah. So we, before we get to that, though, we're going to talk about what happened at the end of Raw last night after Raw went off the air.
Yeah, and actually it was like, we saw it on Twitter, and it was like maybe 5 minutes after we went off the air from doing our live stream. There was a video posted of after Becky Lynch was left in the ring, and Ronda Rousey was in the ring too. Then the Riot Squad came out and talked about how everybody thinks she's the underdog, and everybody thinks she's so they're not even, like, counting on Ruby Riott to win this weekend at Elimination Chamber. And they came out and they attacked, all three members of the Riot Squad attacked Becky and Ronda. So they both joined forces to take out the entire Riot Squad. And they were left standing.
Well, it started out,
victorious.
they were in each other's face, and they were talking trash to each other and talking about, hey, let's just do it now. And
I remember.
The Riot Squad's music came on, and they started walking to the ring, and Ruby Riott started talking about...
nobody thinks I'm winning this weekend. Yeah. Why is that? You guys underestimate me so much. Watch, I'm going to take your title this weekend. But yeah, I didn't even think about that. Rousey did get in Lynch's face and was like, what's stopping you from beating me up right now? Yeah. What's stopping you?
Yep.
Why not do it now? So yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. So they come in the ring, they go after Rousey and
Lynch,
and they end up taking a beating.
Yep. So then, actually, today, after watching the women's tag team match that they had happening, which, again, we'll talk about in a little bit, it got me thinking, if they're not going to push Lynch right now to go for the Raw Women's Championship and Charlotte is going to win again, or win the title back again, then what if Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey form a tag team and Ruby, well, it starts off this weekend, if they would do it. Ronda Rousey loses her title to Ruby Riott this weekend. Then Ruby Riott goes on to WrestleMania to face Charlotte Flair. And Rousey and Lynch, after that, form a tag team. And they go for the tag team titles if the Riot Squad wins at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with this angle. I mean, it's one of those things that it seems like WWE keeps tripping on themselves on these things.
It's like they're creating one storyline. Like, the big focus was meant to be around Rousey and Lynch, but then we're dragging in Charlotte, and now we're dragging in the Riot Squad. So
yeah,
it's like just like the not Shelton Benjamin, Bobby Lashley and Finn Balor and Braun Strowman and Kurt Angle thing that happened yesterday. It's just like that. Like, we're pulling in guys left and right from nowhere.
Well, there's no storylines to these. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of confusing. You can't follow the storylines, so unless maybe they are setting up Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch to become tag team champions.
I was going to say, if she doesn't go for the title right now, then, like, why not?
Well, then...
If you can't beat them, I guess join them.
I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. So then they had a tribute to Pedro Morales.
Well, actually, now we're getting into the show. Now we're actually getting into Smackdown.
Sorry, the show started. Pedro Morales, they had a tribute to him. He was a wrestler from quite a while back.
70s, I think.
He ended up dying. Yeah, he was 76 years old. He was from Puerto Rico. He's pretty popular.
He did stuff with Bruno Sammartino.
Yeah, he's been, like I said, he was back in the day.
And then he also had a tag team championship reign with Bob Backlund.
Yeah, I remember watching him a couple times when I was younger. So, and he was a pretty good wrestler. So, they had a tribute to him. Then of course we have our regular start of the show, and it's Charlotte Flair.
Woo. So Charlotte came out. She talked about, well, I was chosen. Here we go. Like it or not, I'm going to WrestleMania. She talked about how back at Survivor Series, when Becky broke her face, and then look how Flair ends up being in this position yet again where Becky does something stupid and she gets her opportunity taken away. And then she says, the crowd is chanting, "You suck." That's what they're chanting at her. And she goes, well, come WrestleMania, when I'm the main event at WrestleMania, you will be chanting, "This is awesome." And then she went on to say at Elimination Chamber, she will have front row seats to the Riot and Rousey match. And she then said, we'll just see what happens. And what I find very funny is she did wink, like, maybe I'll get involved, maybe I won't. So this is why now I'm kind of like, maybe Rousey isn't going to retain. Because Flair gets involved, and then she knows Riot is an easy target to take on at Mania, and then she wins the title.
Could happen. Or maybe they or Becky Lynch comes out and helps Rousey because Flair interferes. And so...
That's absolutely 100% a possibility of Flair getting involved in the match on Sunday, trying to make it so Riot wins. So then she does have an easy shot at Mania. But then Lynch comes out of the crowd from nowhere, and she takes out Flair, so then Rousey retains.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, we'll have to see. Like I said, we'll see what happens. I don't know for sure. I mean, I got about 100,000 predictions. I still think that what they're shooting for, when it comes time, it'll be a Flair, Rousey, and Becky Lynch three-way match at
Mania.
At WrestleMania. I think that's what they're gearing up for. I don't know.
Because there are just
Hello, Bendy. How you doing?
Hi, Bendy. How are you? Hope your day's been going well.
So,
all while it's happening, Lynch is nowhere in sight. Like, it was really funny. Charlotte, at one point, she pointed to the WrestleMania sign and said, "If I point at the sign and you all yell, 'Becky,' maybe she'll magically appear." And then she did it, and there was no Becky Lynch, no nothing, and the crowd was like, "Boo, you suck!" And then that's when she went into, "You'll be chanting 'This is awesome' at Mania."
Well, the fact that I think, since they suspended Becky Lynch yesterday, I really didn't expect Becky Lynch to be at Smackdown tonight.
Well, I was good, Betty. I'm glad you're good. Good to hear. But I was kind of expecting her to be there to kind of get in Charlotte's face and then have security break them up. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like she hadn't done it in the past and hadn't. She did it like 2 weeks in a row on Raw and then on SmackDown. So I wouldn't have been shocked if she came out. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's where they're leading up to. I think that's what's going to happen. She's not going to come from the back. She's going to come from the crowd.
Yeah.
Since she's suspended.
She did on SmackDown.
Well, yeah, but I think that because she's suspended, they really can't have her, you're suspended, and then we bring you out of the back the next day. So
yeah.
I think that probably what'll happen is you'll see her.
I think we'll see her at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Then the next thing I said, we have Ric Flair's birthday celebration in 2 weeks or whatever it is on Raw. And I'm assuming Charlotte Flair would be there because it is her father. So I'm almost getting ready to see either either confrontation with Becky Lynch and Ric Flair, and Becky's gonna like slap Rick in the face, and then Charlotte, comes running out or something, or we're gonna see Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch kind of get into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is where again they could pull in, she's talking trash about my dad. She doesn't think, whatever, like, you want to pull my dad into this. I want to get a piece of you, but you're suspended, and you're not able to fight. And then that's when she might go to the boss.
Well, that's a perfect way to start.
That's when she might go to the boss and be like, "I want her at Mania in the match because I want to take her out."
Well, and it's a perfect way to set it up. I mean, it's they've been announcing this Ric Flair thing for what, a couple weeks now.
2 weeks ago they announced it, and then
so
they really have been like heavily promoting it for being on the show, which gives good reason to think that it's gonna have something to do with, especially with now Charlotte being in the match. It almost makes sense.
Yeah, I think that
Becky comes out, insults Rick, and then Charlotte takes offense and says, "I want a piece of you."
Yep, I agree. I think that seems like a good storyline, but I don't know. It seems too logical. That's kind of, they don't really, seems like they don't follow logical.
Yeah. They obviously don't listen to what the fans want, as you could tell by last night.
Well, I understand what they're doing, sort of. They're trying to get a pop out of something, trying to make a storyline. But even like last night after, watching that video of Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey beating up the Riot Squad,
mm-hmm.
If you watch the crowd, initially they were like pumped and everything when Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch got in each other's face.
I think if they put Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey together, people are going to lose interest because nobody likes Ronda Rousey.
Well, they were in each other's face, and then when the Riot Squad came out and attacked each other, the crowd was like non-existent. I mean, there was no cheering, there was no booing, there was nothing. The crowd was dead.
I think part of it is like if Becky Lynch isn't like the big, like, headliner and stuff, like nobody likes Rousey. It's very clear that the fans obviously don't really like Rousey, and if they do, it's a very small percentage. And then like people like the Riot Squad and stuff, like nobody's interested in the fact, of them having Ruby Riott as a singles competitor. The only thing people are interested in is the tag team thing right now with the Riot Squad, and that's it. They could care less about what Ruby Riott does,
Well, I don't know why they're just not giving the fans what they want. They want the Rousey Lynch match. Give it to them.
Exactly.
And if they're not going to make it happen, instead of gearing everything up towards WrestleMania, they should have done it either at Elimination Chamber or do it at Fastlane before WrestleMania happens.
Yeah. So, like, to me, I don't know. I just don't know. Like, I feel like it was a dumb move. Like, putting so much hype behind it and having Becky win the Rumble, and then, I want you, Rousey, and, like, I don't know. They just hyped it up so much, and then it's such a big letdown when it's screwed up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Then we see a video about Mustafa Ali, and I had actually read somewhere about this, that Mustafa Ali was going to be replaced in his match because he has a concussion and he's injured right now. So I really wanted Mustafa Ali in this match because he was my pick to win. I have different ideas now. But he is not competing in the match. He's injured. He's out. The doctors aren't letting him wrestle. So he has been replaced by the New Day. And I was kind of like, New Day? What? I wasn't even like thinking New Day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where they pulled the New Day out of, but New Day, I guess. And so one member from New Day is taking the place of Mustafa Ali in the match on Sunday for the title. So they showed a video from Or, well, they didn't show a video. That's later on in the show. But they just kind of talked about it. You know, he's not competing. And so, you know. I mean, that's really it.
Well, you know, if they're gonna, and I understand he's hurt right now.
Yeah.
I think it's a legitimate injury.
He has a black eye right now.
Well,
dude.
why they picked why they picked the New Day to come out and be the...
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have no idea where they pulled him out of at all. Like, they pulled him out of thin air.
Well, but the thing is what I'm like losing my train of thought here.
Sorry.
What other wrestlers are there? I mean, who else could they use? Yeah, see, you can't think of anybody. So I suppose the New Day, you know, picking somebody from the New Day was as good as anything.
Well, because they have about everybody in there, which now makes sense as to why they threw... Well, I mean, they do have Andrade, and they do have Rey Mysterio, and they do have... But nobody cares about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I guess I understand why they put Jeff Hardy... Or Jeff Hardy. What am I saying? That's another train of thought. I guess I understand why they put the New Day in. And we talked about a while back, this is where Jeff Hardy comes in. You know, like, Jeff Hardy, we both were like, what does he have to do with anything? Like, why is he even in this match? Like, he, 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, when they started building up for this match, we were like, so Jeff Hardy is in here, and he came out of nowhere, and why? Because, like, Jeff Hardy hadn't been involved in anything, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, it just didn't make any sense to me, as to why they did that. But, you know, I mean, I get it. They're very limited with their guys right now. So, I mean, I just don't know, you know.
Well, again, I don't know. I don't understand their whole, what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, I don't know. I mean, throwing Hardy in there, and I understand, like I said, they're trying to give Mustafa Ali a push, but I just don't get that either. So,
well, that's what I thought. Know. That's why I picked that's why Mustafa Ali was my pick. Like, before he was injured, I said he's going to be the one to win the title because I thought they were going to give him a big push and he was going to then, you know, obviously win the title if he won the match. So that was like my thoughts. But now he's injured and now I have my other pick who I've decided. Because I feel like the other ones are just, like, too predictable, you know? Like, Randy Orton has been champion so many times, I don't even know how many. You know, we've had AJ Styles was just the champion before Daniel Bryan. Samoa Joe has never been the champion, but I feel like they're not giving him a big enough push right now anyways to get the title because they're putting him in all these, like, rinky-dink matches with all these guys that are, like, you know, half of his size.
Yeah.
So, like, does that make any sense to give him the title then? Because they're not even really pushing him. Jeff Hardy, I don't know what in the world they're doing with him at all. Who does that leave you with? That leaves you with, Kofi Kingston then.
Yeah.
Who took the place. So, like, I'm saying Kofi Kingston right now, he's my pick. That might be a goofy pick, but, like, he's my pick. And I feel like they could do something, you know, with that. You know what I mean?
Kofi Kingston is the one.
But he's my pick.
He had his big shit. And here's why. I think because the way he, you know, since he lasted so long in the match tonight.
And then he tapped out.
I don't think he's going to win.
Unless, this is always a possibility, they could always switch it up. Yes, Kofi Kingston was the one to go in tonight. But what if they put in one of the other members of New Day?
They could.
And they put Big E in instead of him.
They could.
You know what I mean? Because there's 3 of them. And yeah, they said, you know, Kofi Kingston's going to go into the match on Sunday. If he was hurt or something, then they go with another guy from New Day.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
it's possible. Could be the path they're headed down.
And Big E is like, I thought they were going to put Big E in the match to begin with.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, I just don't know. It's another thought. But right now, I'm saying Kofi Kingston. Like I said, it might be a goofy prediction, but that would be my thought.
I think it's going to be Daniel Bryan.
I don't know, man.
Simple fact and reason is he got beat tonight, and he's going to be he'll be the first one in the match. I guess I kind of gave away some of the ending here.
Yeah, sure.
He'll be the first one in the match at Elimination Chamber. And so I think that there's a good shot that he's going to win the title, just retain the title.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man, because I don't know who, leading up to WrestleMania, what they would do with him and who we would start a feud with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, that's where it leaves me kind of like, I just don't know. Because I just don't know. You know what I mean? He's not, like, in a position right now where, I don't know. I don't know, man. I honestly just don't know. So then we'll go back to that match and finish the conversation about that a little later with all the results. But next we have Fabulous Glow versus Mandy and Sonia versus the Iconics. And this match determined who goes in first for Smackdown for the Women's Tag Team Championship belts. I said going into it, I said Fabulous Glow is going to win. And Mandy and Sonia are going to go in first. And I was right. The Iconics were in the match for about 2.5 seconds till they tagged out. And then they, after the match, obviously Naomi and Carmella were worn out from being in the match. They went in and beat up, they beat up on, maybe I get the feeling you honestly don't know. Thanks. Because I don't. I don't know what's going to happen in that match on Sunday. Not a clue right now, but my pick is Kofi Kingston. We'll see. Anyways, I said Fabulous Glow, Naomi and Carmella were going to win, and Mandy and Sonia were going to lose. That's what happened. Iconics ended up beating up Naomi and Carmella at the end of the match after it was over, and they stood there victorious looking at the titles saying we're going to win those on Sunday.
It's a decent match.
Yeah, it was a decent match.
Great, decent. For as big as they're trying to push this women's tag team championship, it's gonna be on like the bottom. I mean, it's a big thing, you know. This is the first women's tag team champions.
Yeah.
And there's like no. They're not making a big deal out of it.
It's not like big hype, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're hyping up this, like, the WWE Championship match. But, like, even to me, I feel like that one's not as big because, you know, like, this is, like, a first ever thing. And, like, when they were hyping up, like, the first ever all women's pay-per-view, it was, like, a big deal. And then, like, when they brought out the women's championship, changing it from the Divas championship to the women's championship, and starting the Divas Revolution or whatever. Like, they made big deals out of that. But then when we get to this other, like, big milestone for the women's division, it's like, it's almost, like, made a joke of, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not even, like, taken very seriously.
Well, if you look, the two matches have been on the beginning of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of in between other matches that, you know, weren't huge.
Or great.
So I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's not being hyped for what it should be.
Yeah.
The first ever women's, I think it's the first ever. Have they ever had a tag team champions for women's?
Nope.
First ever women's tag team champions, WWE, and there's no hype at all.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're kind of messing this up and not making a big deal out of it, and so, you know, and maybe this is why you'll see somewhere down the road Becky Lynch and
Ronda Rousey get involved in the tag team division. They're already setting that up right now because they know the tag team division is going to fail otherwise.
Yeah. Well, the thing is they've kind of set this up that over the last couple weeks, they really haven't butted heads, Rousey and Becky Lynch.
I mean, they've had their backstage moments where they're, like, in each other's faces.
But they haven't done anything.
But, like, it's not, like, physical. Like, they're not beating each other up. And, like, after we saw yesterday, Rousey was like, come on, what's stopping you from taking me out right now?
Yeah, so
it's almost like... Again, I just don't know.
Yeah, so... so then we have...
We had an interview from last night after the matches with Bayley and talking about how she can totally depend on Sasha Banks even though she didn't compete in that match at all last night. And she is pretty much the reason why they, like, lost because she wasn't there because she got thrown into
I have a feeling they're going to win the championship.
Bayley and Boston Hug Connection. Yeah, that's what I said. I said from the beginning. I said I think they're going to be the first ever women's tag team champions.
Yeah.
Now whether Sasha gets actually wrestles or if it's just going to be Bayley pulling the weights.
I think what could happen is Sasha gets hurt in the match.
Seems to be a trend
without
recently.
even actually getting in the match. And then Bayley kind of carries them and they end up winning.
As she has done for the last 3 weeks. So... they had an interview with Bayley backstage talking about how she can totally depend on Sasha and, nothing, they're going to go in and win the titles. And I feel like definitely they should win the titles just because neither of them have gotten a huge push for championships recently. So it's like, give them this,
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just a bunch of nobodies, pretty much. Because Sasha Banks doesn't have the gold around her waist. Bayley doesn't have the gold around her waist. So it's like, there's nothing really to look at there. Then we had Nia and Tamina talking about how, like, you think we have any threats in the match. There's nothing there. And then the Riot Squad, how they're going to bounce back and forth off each other and, be best friends in the ring or something. I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard to take Liv Morgan seriously with her blue tongue, honestly.
Yeah.
I just can't take her seriously when she talks and she's like, and her tongue is like blue. It just makes me laugh. Like, I don't even listen to what she's saying because I'm sitting there laughing at her blue tongue.
Well, a couple of the women, and it's like the men, if you're not good on the mic and don't, and
the other thing I found very funny about that segment, I was listening, was that, Liv Morgan was like, I will do anything for Sarah Logan, and if Sarah Logan is down, I will, defend her, and I will whatever, and I'm like, you puny little shrimp, you're not gonna do anything. Like, she's, I get it, she's like an underdog, she's tiny, but no, I mean, it's just, you can't take it seriously, because she's just like, I don't know.
Yeah. So then we have McMiz TV with the Usos.
I actually thought this was quite entertaining.
I did too. I thought it was funny.
But
the Miz, the Miz is good on the mic. Shane McMahon's good on the mic. The Usos are good on the mics. So when you have that,
it helps.
It makes things interesting and fun to watch.
Yeah. So Shane and Miz came out. They did their whole "we're the best tag team in the world" bit. Then they brought out the Usos, and the Usos came out, and they talked about how Shane and Miz keep saying you're the best tag teams in the world, but what have we seen? We saw you, win at Royal Rumble. That's about it. You haven't defended your title since. Then they talk about, how well do you really know each other? We're twins, and we know, everything about each other. So they play Tag Team Test, where they ask questions to each other. And the Usos, they did it. And they answered the questions. And then Miz and Shane are over here and he's like, what's my favorite food? Tacos. Yep, you got it right. Good job, Shane. They were cheating, doing their whole thing. And then they ended up pulling in this storyline from a couple weeks ago with the whole Mandy Rose, Naomi, Jimmy Uso?
I think so.
Jimmy Uso storyline, I think. One of the Usos. Whichever one's married.
Obviously, is one of the Usos. I mean, that was the whole, the whole thing is about with the Usos, and so.
Duh! Sorry, that's my bad. I'm obviously, can't be specific, because he's going to correct me. But they did their whole thing, and Miz ended up taking a low blow and was like, why don't we talk about Mandy Rose? And then they got fired up and was like, yo, dude, you didn't have to bring that up. What's your deal, man? And then they got in each other's faces, and Miz and Shane ended up holding up the titles. And just as they were, bringing him down, the Usos, bounced off the rope, and in, unison, they super kicked both of them. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. It was just so, in sync, you know what I mean?
Well, this is the whole bit was good. Like I said, they're all good on the mic.
They are.
So that helps. Makes for entertainment.
Now, I just don't know who's going to win the match on Sunday. Because they do have a title. Shane and Miz are defending the titles on Sunday against Usos. So I'm waiting for them to start building up Miz and Shane split.
They already are. If you watch everything they do, the things they say to each other.
Actually, you're correct. Because I remember at the beginning, Shane came out and was like, dude, we talked about this backstage. You weren't supposed to announce that to anybody but family. And then it was like, oh, this is my entire family. He announced that he was going to be on some TV show.
Yeah, and they're if you watch the way they talk, sometimes you'll get a look from one or the other based on, what the other one is saying.
Yeah.
So I think they're already setting this up to where and it may not happen at Elimination Chamber. It may happen at WrestleMania, or it may happen right after WrestleMania. So, it's...
Well, I thought they were going to set it up to where it happens at WrestleMania, where they have their big match at Mania, because Shane McMahon has had a match at Mania for the last, 3 or 4 years. Which is why I was like, I think maybe... This is why I'm like, I don't know if they're going to lose their titles this weekend, or if it'll be at, Fastlane, or what. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
I don't know either.
That seems to be a trend. I just don't know. I should make that a hashtag. Maven. I just don't know.
I just don't know.
I just don't know. Again, like I said, I should make that a hashtag and just put that out there. Mavens. I just don't know. That should be a segment. We should make that a segment on here.
I just don't know.
I just don't know.
If you make that a segment, what are you going to talk about? Because
things I just don't know about.
It's a little tough to talk about things I don't know about.
I don't know. See, there we go. I still don't know anything.
Definitely.
It's trend. I'm starting a new trend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not knowing anything?
I'm a trendsetter. So cool. Anyways.
So they, of course, as we said, the Usos super kick them and leave both of them laying in the ring, and they walk back to the dressing rooms, and the Miz and Shane McMahon are laying on the ground, rubbing their jaws and everything else. So then we have Mustafa Ali video.
Yet again.
Talking about not being able to compete Sunday because of injuries.
Yeah.
Again, this is legitimate.
He is a full-on black eye.
Yeah,
his black eye is really bad.
He definitely has something, an injury there.
I said I read somewhere it was a concussion.
Probably.
Now whether that's true, I feel like none of this would have happened. Now the thing is, once we get to the main event, which we'll be talking about in just a second after this video, I don't understand why they've done this same thing with all 6 guys that are supposed to be in this match over the last 2 weeks. So it's no wonder he has a concussion, because you sent him out there, he got a black eye, he was thrown into a table. They set him up for failure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sending those guys out there for the last 2 weeks The Miz is a cheesehead. Okay.
At least he's not a cheese-it, Bendy.
So, they set him up for failure, because they did send him out there 2 weeks in a row, risking not having this match as an opportunity. And I thought I genuinely thought, I genuinely think that this is it's a real injury, obviously. But, like, I thought they were going to give him a push and he was going to win the title this weekend. But, you know, now that he's injured, that's not happening. But he wouldn't have gotten injured if they hadn't done that stupid bring all 6 guys out over the last 2 weeks. So...
Well, it's like Seth Rollins and his injury. I mean, when he was hurt because he got F5 984 times and
if he was a Cheez-It, I'd probably like him, but he's not, so I don't.
I'm sure you would.
That's the greatest thing I've seen all day.
Yeah, it's funny.
Bendy, you should put that on your Twitter, and you should tag The Miz.
If you were a Cheez-It, I would like you.
No. Your tweet should be, @The Miz is a cheesehead. If he was a Cheez-It, I'd probably like him better, but he's not, so I don't. Laughing face emoji, like 6 times. Do it. See what happens. The Miz will probably notice you. He's an A-lister. It's a big deal when you get noticed by The Miz, so...
Yeah.
You know.
He'd probably notice it right away, because you called him a cheesehead.
The worst insult out there. You're a cheesehead!
Yeah. So anyway, you know, I think they were gonna give Ollie a push.
I did too. I thought he was gonna win the title on Sunday, and then that would. I'm too young to have a Twitter. Then how do I follow you? Because I'm 99.9% sure I follow you on Twitter. Just saying.
Just saying.
That's an illogical statement. Because I follow you.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
I'm not sure what that face is.
I think it's supposed to be like, ah, but I don't know.
Oh.
Oh yeah, never mind.
So anyway, Mustafa Ali
I thought they were gonna
is out for how long? Don't know.
But he's not medically cleared to compete this weekend, so that's all I know.
So then we have Daniel Bryan.
He does his promo. He comes out, talks about being the planet's champion, as usual, as he has in the last, what feels like forever. And he talks about Eric Rowan and some other stuff about being planetary. And then we have the Gauntlet match. And it starts off with Daniel Bryan, and then the New Day comes out, and what I thought was funny, they obviously had their plate of pancakes like they always do, but then they also had like a huge tube of ground beef over the shoulder of Big E, and I thought it was hilarious, like, you know, taking jabs at Daniel Bryan.
Well, they did, but they didn't do anything with it.
They didn't, which is why I thought it was funny. If you were paying attention, you would have seen it, but like anybody could have totally missed it. You know what I mean? Because they didn't like give him a mic and were like, ha ha ha, look what we got here, you know?
Well, and that's why, you know, I don't even know why they did it. Because it didn't make any sense. And if you just walked in, you'd be going, what is that? You know? If you weren't paying attention, you'd have no clue what they were carrying.
Even if you noticed, if you even noticed they, like, you know, were even carrying something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it was almost kind of pointless. So, they ended up choosing Kofi Kingston to go into the match. I thought they were going to put Big E in just because he is the bigger of them. But Kofi Kingston is a good wrestler. He's a high flyer. He, you know, he does know, he's bendy. He knows how to use submissions. So, you know, I feel like he was a good choice. But I thought they were going to put Big E in. That was my initial
Well, he still might end up. I mean, if Kofi Kingston's hurt and they decide they're going to stick with the New Day because there's 3 of them, and this might be why they picked the New Day, because they could create a storyline where they could put any one of them out there, and, you know, if one of them gets hurt, they can go, well, we're just going to plug in another one.
Yeah. So they did that, and Kofi and Daniel started off the match, and this is before I was like, oh, Kofi Kingston, that's my pick. I was like, I don't think Kofi's going to last very long.
Well,
I thought it was going to be over pretty quickly. And mind you, this was right at the beginning of the second hour of the show that this match started. This match didn't end until the very end of the show.
I don't understand the match.
I don't either. Like, I feel like it was a pointless match because we've seen this
they've had
multiple times over the last 2 weeks, like I said.
They've had fights before. They're going to Elimination Chamber on Sunday to fight each other. The point of this match was there wasn't a point. So now you've seen the match on Smackdown that you're basically going to see on
pretty much. The only thing that was different was you
Sunday.
didn't have the Elimination Chamber in it because it was along the same lines. The Elimination Chamber match is almost like a Gauntlet match because they do their whole thing. They have the 4 guys in the cage. They start off with 2 in the ring. And then you go and the numbers, it'll like get dark and they do the numbers and it'll go around. And then, whatever door it lands on, that opens up. And then it's like on a timer as to when the next person comes in. And when you get pinned, you're eliminated from the match. So, like, we saw the same thing tonight.
Yeah, well, and that's why I don't get the match. I mean, they've ran out, interrupted each other's matches over the last
like
2 or 3 weeks.
It just gets old. You see the same thing. Like, this is the same thing we've seen in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, the only difference is
it was an actual match.
Yeah. I mean, and
it's
a match you're going to see.
That it
Well, it's the fact you're going to see this match on Sunday at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the point of doing it this way? I don't understand the whole idea behind what they're doing here.
They should have done is they should have just like done like the Royal Rumble thing with like the little like bingo balls or whatever they are, and then like they do it and it's like, you got number 1.
So do it like a lottery
you
system.
got number 6, so you're entering in the match last. You know what I mean? Like, that would have been so much better than like doing this whole match, which took an hour of the show.
This last hour of the match, they could have filled with like 2 or 3 matches, or some good promos or something.
Well, you said before the match started, you said, I think this is going to be over pretty quick. And then they're going to bring out Charlotte again, and she's going to talk about something, and then they're going to bring out Becky, and Becky's
I didn't say it'd be
out.
over quick, but I thought.
Well, you said it'd be over
pretty
pretty quickly, not like an hour long.
I thought that I thought they may bring Charlotte back out at the end of the show and have her like doing a promo again, and then she gets interrupted by Becky Lynch, from like she comes out of the stands or something.
Yeah.
But like this match just took forever.
I was done with the match in the first 15 minutes of it.
Well,
I was over it.
The whole Daniel Bryan Kofi Kingston thing was like
took forever. Forever.
So when I saw that was lasting 20 minutes or whatever it lasted, 25 minutes.
I was like, there isn't going to be anything else.
Well, yeah, I knew that this was going to be it. This is going to be their match. This is what they were going to end SmackDown on. Which, I don't know. I mean, it's just there are so many other ways they could have done.
Honestly, this wasn't a very good SmackDown for it being like right before pay-per-view. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
like I feel like not the whole show wasn't bad. The second hour was bad.
Well, the issue again, they could have split these guys up and just had matches.
I don't know.
They could have split them up and just had matches, and have individual match. Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston, Randy, and they didn't even have to have Kofi Kingston in this match. They could have waited and used him.
They could have waited to announce it until the match, right before the match happened, because they didn't have to say anything about Ali being injured until like the beginning of the pay-per-view. They could have been like, "Oh well, breaking news: Mustafa Ali is unable to compete, so they're gonna have to find somebody to fill his position." And then that would have eliminated everything with Kofi Kingston, and then they wouldn't have even had to do anything with like him being injured or anything if he got hurt in the match, from being like taken out so much.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the Gauntlet match is cool and everything.
But when it takes an hour long,
and it might be something you use on a pay-per-view, and do it that way, and again, like you said, it took an hour to do, which is why I think probably a pay-per-view would have been a better spot for it to do it at, is so, to fill some time.
But again, it's the exact same thing as, like, Elimination Chamber this weekend. So...
Well, it's the same matches. I mean, the same people, same type of match.
So how is it going to be any different with the outcome? Randy Orton, okay, so it started with Kofi and Daniel. Daniel Bryan was eliminated first by Kofi Kingston.
After about 25 minutes.
After 25 minutes. Then Jeff Hardy came out and he got eliminated. Jeff Hardy was eliminated. Then Samoa Joe came out and Samoa Joe was eliminated. But then after that, Kofi Kingston got the, like, literal crap kicked out of him by Samoa Joe. And then AJ Styles came down and, like, pleaded with Kofi, like, man, please, you don't have to do this. Like, you're already hurt enough. Don't do this. Like, don't worry about this. Like, you don't have to. This isn't a big deal. And Kofi was like, dude, get off me. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. And we forgot to mention that, at the beginning of the match, after about 10, 15 minutes of the match, Eric Rowan and the rest of the New Day were both
banned from
sent
ringside.
Back to the locker rooms.
Well, Eric Rowan at first got involved in the match without the ref seeing. Then Big E went after Eric Rowan to, like, stop him. The ref saw Big E getting on Eric Rowan. The ref was like, nope, sorry, you two are out of here. And then Kofi Kingston was thrown out of the ring, and Eric Rowan then went and threw Kofi over the barricade. And the ref did not see him do that. Like, he was like, where the heck did Kofi go? Like, he didn't hop over the barricade. And so he then threw Eric Rowan out of the match, and that was the last of him that we saw. So there was no him to ruin that. And then shortly after that, Daniel Bryan was eliminated. Then, anyways, going back to Kofi and AJ Styles, like, pleaded with him and was like, dude, like, you don't have to do this. Kofi was like, no, get off me, I'm doing this. And then Kofi ended up tapping out to AJ Styles with the calf crusher. And then AJ Styles, all that was left is Randy Orton. AJ Styles was waiting for Randy Orton to come out.
Well, he kind of consoled Kofi after he did it. And then the other two New Day guys come down and
took him out of the ring. They helped him out.
Helped Kofi Kingston get out of the ring. Mm-hmm. AJ Styles was consoling him, and then Randy Orton's music comes on, so
AJ's like waiting for Randy Orton to come down the ramp. And in regular Randy Orton fashion, he comes out from, like, the crowd or somewhere, and he RKO's AJ Styles to then pin him to win the match. So, that was the match.
Yeah, that was
after
it.
An hour long. So Randy, like, after the Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston stuff, the match was like quick.
Yep.
So it was like, why couldn't the whole match have been like that?
Yeah.
I would have much rather seen something else other than, like, an entire hour of, like, Daniel Bryan fighting Kofi Kingston.
So basically what happens here is, if they do, from what I understood in the match, you're going to have Daniel Bryan starting off against Jeff Hardy.
Randy Orton goes in last. He's the last competitor to enter the ring, which gives him an advantage in the end of it, because he'll be fresher when everybody else, depending on who's left, is tired and worn out from being in the match.
So you have Daniel Bryan against Jeff Hardy to start with. Samoa Joe will be the third one in.
Well, unless they're just going off of the first set. And they're not, because they'll be, they're in cages.
Well, I know that, but
then they do like a number thing. I have no clue. All I know is I'm pretty sure Daniel Bryan and Jeff Hardy are first, and then I know Randy Orton is last. He'll be the last one to enter. But they do, like, it's set on, like, a timer, and, like, it'll, like, go around flashing. Have you ever watched an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view?
Well, I haven't actually watched it, but I've kind of, like, been paying attention to things that have went on.
So essentially there's, like, 4
So this will be my first This will be my first Elimination Chamber to watch, because I have never actually watched the Elimination Chamber, and since I've, got back into wrestling in the last couple weeks, this will be my first Elimination Chamber to see, because back in the day when I used to watch
they didn't have
an Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's like
they had war games where they had 2 wrestling rings, and you'd throw each other over into the next wrestling ring, and so I didn't get to ever see,
newfangled
an
technology.
Elimination chamber.
So essentially it's like 4 pods, and then they do like this, like the room gets dark.
Yeah, it'd be 4. Never mind.
That's 4 because you have 2 in the ring and it's 6 guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say 6, but you know, my math just didn't work out there for a second.
So 4 pods, and then they like turn the lights off, and then it like goes glowing, and there's like numbers on the top of them, and they like glow, and then it like goes bing 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 bing.
You know, what'd be cool is if like one of the doors like locked and they couldn't get out.
And then they unlock the one door that it lands on.
Yeah,
and then that guy enters. Yeah. So
I have seen the previews for it, and I've never actually watched a match. I probably should watch a match before, you know.
We go into it.
But I suppose I can get my reactions to actually, you know, seeing it for the first time.
Yeah. All around, I mean, it wasn't a terrible, it wasn't a terrible SmackDown, but like the last hour I didn't really like, again, because it was taken up by nonsensical things that we're going to see this weekend. And so, I don't know. What do you think? Overall.
I liked the Charlotte Flair thing at the beginning. I thought the Pedro Morales tribute was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And there's probably a lot of people that don't even know Pedro Morales and who he is and have never heard of him.
I know who he is.
You know, you can always go back and watch. If you have WWE Network, you can go back and watch some of his matches on WWE Network.
Yeah.
And he is a Hall of Famer.
He is?
Yes.
What year?
I believe... I've actually got a link on our page for that, where during to his, I want to say 2005.
Oh, so like one of the first like recent.
I'll look it up here real quick.
Okay.
You keep talking.
Well, anybody have any questions about Raw? Any statements? anything? Because I mean,
Smackdown, not Raw.
Or Raw. If you have any questions about Raw, let me know. But if you have any questions about, you know, like what we were talking about, SmackDown, then, like, you can just let me know. But...
Oh, it was 95, not 2005. It was 1995.
Well, jeez, Dad, you were, like, way off. That's, like...
10 years.
10 years, man.
Let me help you with the math.
I'm not very good at math.
So, yeah, in 1995, he was elected into the Hall of Fame. He was a heavyweight champion at one time.
He had tag team championships. I do know this. He was a tag team champion with Bob Backlund.
I think so.
I believe so. Bob Backlund. And he did stuff with Bruno Sammartino. He came down to ringside and, you know, did stuff like that with him. Whether he actually wrestled with him or not, I don't know for sure.
So anyway, back to talking about the show. Again, I thought the Morales thing was cool. I thought the Charlotte thing was pretty good. I wasn't real impressed with the women's tag team match.
Not really.
It was okay.
I already knew who was going to win from
but
the
it
beginning.
wasn't, like, you know, one of my favorite things. The McMiz TV was pretty cool.
I actually really like that. That was probably my favorite section of the show. I'm not going to say the Charlotte thing was my favorite because I'm not on the best terms with Charlotte right now. But, like, McMiz TV was good.
Then you had the Mustafa Ali video, his promo explaining that he's gonna hurt, he's not gonna be around.
Yeah, he said. In his video, he said
that was good.
In his video, he said, you know, this is most certainly not gonna be the last of me. You see, I'm gonna come right back and I'm gonna go for that title. And you know, I was given this opportunity now, but just because I was given this one doesn't mean that I'm not gonna go and take another one. So I think whenever he comes back,
they'll give him a push,
gonna
probably.
Go
That's my guess.
for the
they'll
title.
give him a push. So then you have the final match with the Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, AJ Styles, Kofi Kingston in a gauntlet match.
No.
Just way too long. And we're going to see it on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it was a pointless match. So overall, I would say probably I would give this a C+. Maybe B-.
Yeah.
Because I thought you had a good beginning, a solid middle, and
everything went downhill after
you just didn't close out the show.
Past hour mark. Yeah. I did not like the second hour. The first hour, I'd give like a B. The second hour, I'd give like a C. It was not good. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, the second hour was not good.
No.
So,
I would have much rather have just had it been
the second hour was one match.
Exactly.
And so, you make a match that long, and people are going to be sitting there dragging on and wondering,
what is the point?
Why are you doing this? Especially when you're going to have this match again on
Sunday.
Sunday.
Does it make any sense to you?
Well, if you're going to create a storyline, and I suppose they did with Kofi Kingston, but they could have put they could have put Kofi Kingston in the match. Just said, hey, he's replacing Mustafa Ali at Elimination Chamber, and just do it there.
I just don't get it. This is what we've seen. I sound like a broken record, but this is what we've seen the last 3 weeks. We've seen the 6 guys in the ring doing this exact same thing without it being a sanctioned match.
Yes.
And now we're finally seeing it as a match, but then, guess what? This isn't over because we're going to see it again on Sunday.
And then hopefully it's over after that.
It better be over.
Because, this whole thing has been,
it's
drawn
just
out too
repeat.
long.
I'm going to take a line
Well, if they would have built storylines along with it, I think it would have been a lot better. Maybe have Daniel Bryan have it. Well, all of them could have a problem with Daniel Bryan just because he's the champion and just his whole character right now. Everybody could have a problem with him.
Well, I said Mustafa Ali wins the title. Then Daniel Bryan tries to go back for the title at Mania, but there's no Mustafa Ali now. So again, now I don't know what's gonna happen.
I don't either. We'll give our predictions Friday. So Friday night we'll do another stream.
Hate to leave you hanging.
And we'll give you our predictions on what we think are going to happen.
Yeah.
At Elimination Chamber.
Quite a few matches. There were some matches announced yesterday for that. There were 2 matches, I believe.
Yes.
Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
And Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
And somebody. Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
And then Live 205. There's actually a match.
Cruiserweight Championship.
That was the Cruiserweight Championship.
Buddy Murphy and Akira Tozawa.
Yeah.
Yep, and way ahead. And I don't even watch 205 Live. So yeah, it was not a great show, but like I said, first hour was good. Second hour was dragged on way too long. I did not like it, and I was like, no. So, it's just the way it is. Makes me crazy.
Well, it's kind of what WWE's been doing. They draw out this long match, and it's people start to wonder, what they're doing and why they're doing it. And,
yeah.
And so kind of goes with the way things are going right now. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Again, we'll give you our predictions on Friday.
Very curious to see what happens with the women's title match and this Elimination Chamber match and the women's tag team match. Very curious.
Yes.
Curious to see where they take storylines.
I believe I have us down for 10 o'clock on Friday.
I think.
To 10 o'clock Central Time to stream.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about our
predictions.
Again,
this weekend is just a WWE pay-per-view. There is no NXT TakeOver or anything.
No.
That is in... I don't think it's the weekend of Fastlane. I think it is the weekend of WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think... They don't have as many takeovers as they do like WWE pay-per-views.
Which is good.
Mm-hmm.
Because
then they can stretch storylines out, make them go a little longer.
Well, you can build storylines that way and make them more interesting. So,
we will be back again tomorrow. NXT. A time is kind of to be determined.
Yeah, I think I put on my schedule at 8 o'clock, but you have something going on. So
I won't be here at 8 o'clock.
I think we're going to bump it back probably to...
We'll end up watching the replay. As soon as I get home, we'll start up the replay, and then maybe like 9:30ish, 10 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
We'll be on.
I will actually try and see if I can figure out how to get a like a scheduled thing here on YouTube. And see if I can figure out why, sometimes I get more videos up than what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Or I tweet out something and it tweets out the wrong link.
I.e. this evening.
Yeah, that was me. That's why the first, 10 or 15 minutes of our stream here, I was trying to figure out why I tweeted right from YouTube and it tweeted out something
the wrong link.
We'll treat out a link that we did from 2 days ago? 3 days ago?
Yeah, it's our NXT from last week.
Yeah, so it's been a week.
And so it tweeted that out, and so that was not good.
So I'm not sure, so I'll take a look at that and see if I can get some stuff figured out here, and we'll get better at this.
Yep. So
we're learning.
That explains the face.
Yeah, thanks, memory.
So we'll be back here tomorrow to talk about NXT and recapping that. Then we'll be back on Friday to talk about our predictions for Elimination Chamber on Sunday. And then we will be back Sunday to watch the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view and talk about our thoughts. As soon as the pay-per-view is over, we'll be up. I don't know what time that will be. It just kind of depends. The bigger pay-per-views are closer to 4 or 5 hours long, and the smaller ones are closer to maybe 3. So again, it'll just kind of depend on how long everything takes, what time the show gets over. Is there a pre-show for this one? Do they have any pre-show matches?
Probably something. I'm sure they'll have something.
Probably.
So we'll talk about that. We'll be back tomorrow, definitely, for NXT. We'll give you a time for sure on when we're going to, on Friday.
Right now, we just have it down at 10 o'clock.
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Might be sooner than that. Just depends on when we have all of our information together and all the matches.
Check the page. We'll change it and fix it. So, I suppose that is it. If you like this, give us thumbs up.
Thumbs up or thumbs down.
Give us thumbs down. If you don't like it, let us know. Leave comments. Either way, if you like it, tell us what you like. If you dislike it, tell us what you dislike. It helps us make things better.
Yep.
We've got some things we're working on. We're working on lighting right now. May not be the best. We're working on some stuff with that. Getting things straightened out with YouTube and everything, and figuring out how to run that.
Microphones and
microphones
stuff.
And sometimes you may hear an echo that we don't know, but we have somebody that's paying attention to that and letting us know what's going on.
So then we can try to
fix it. So we're working on that.
If you want to check out more of our stuff, you can find both of us on Twitter. I am at Maven Glean, and you are?
Mr. Glean, and we also have Glean Network.
Glean Network page, which is combined.
Yes.
So you can find us both in there. I've been on Twitter a lot recently, just looking at things, retweeting stuff.
Me too. Just I tweeted out the wrong.
So you can always find me on Twitter. So yeah.
All right.
I think that's pretty much it.
Did we say subscribe?
Oh no! Wait.
Make sure you subscribe.
Hold up! Wait a minute. We're not done yet. Make sure to subscribe, because it's kind of a big deal. You like what you see? You want to see us? Make sure you subscribe so then you know when we're on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday consistently. And when there's a pay-per-view, we're on Friday for predictions, and then pay-per-views are over the weekend.
Well, and that way when I screw up on tweeting out something and you look at my tweets, then you go, oh, wow. What was he doing there?
Yeah.
And if you're subscribed, you can YouTube and have notifications and things turn on notifications.
I was going to say, click on the notification bell, and then you'll be notified every time we're live.
Sent out live. And
yep.
So. And it's not me messing up on things. So.
You know, there's always my Twitter. I always put a link to our stream on.
Well, as long as you're not putting the
Twitter.
same link I put in.
I physically go in and click the button and fix it. So
Well, I went physically right to the YouTube page and did it, and it like sent out something else. So I don't know what happened there. So,
all right.
Think
we will see y'all
peace out.
tomorrow.
Later.
Bye, guys.